there and welcome back to my channel. This is Charming Raindrops and I'm Vicky, and we're going to be going through the second part of the Gabe and Martin thriller series by Britton. As I said during the last video, Anna is a friend of mine, so I know name drop and all, but so I'm reading this ready for an author event which she's coming to run for me. So yeah, before we get started, if you are new here, welcome. It's lovely to see you. If you've been here before, it's lovely to have you back. If you like what you see, then please like, subscribe, do the YouTubey things if you want to. And we'll crack on and talk books and crafting, which is what we do here. I am crocheting a blanket which is going to encompass squares. So there's a square for every book of the year that I read, and the colours of the squares are going to relate to the book cover, hence why you get a copy of the book cover on the left hand side of the screen. I'm also linking below the crochet hook I'm using is 4mm, and I am also linking a video that shows you how to do it. I've not been crocheting that long, I don't feel that confident that I could teach anyone how to do it, but there's a really good video done by Bella Coco, so feel free to go and watch that if you need any more information. So on to Close to the Edge. So Close to the Edge literally picks up from where Shot in the Dark ended, and I'm still not going to tell you who did it at the end of Shot in the Dark, but basically we're at the courthouse where the person who did do it is being sentenced for the crime. And the Dunlows are back because they're obviously in court watching, and Melanie's boyfriend's there, and so are Juliet and Gabe. And all of a sudden, as they leave the courthouse, shots ring out, and both Juliet and Gabe get shot by a mystery assailant. So we don't know who did it, obviously, because that's the point, is that we're going to go through the process of working out who did it. There's another crime running alongside as well, so we do meet some new characters as well as sticking with the Dunlows again, because you do see what happens after Shot in the Dark, which is really nice. It's not like this is the person that did it, ta-da, they've gone to prison, it's done. There is a little bit of a this is what happens after they go to prison. Also, you know, it just carries on, life goes on. But it gets to a point where Juliet and Gabe can't investigate their own crime, purely because they are the victims of the crime. So they have to try and leave the investigating to someone else, of which the one thing that we've learned about Juliet and Gabe in the first book is that they're not likely to do that. They're not going to let it go. They want to find out who did it. They've got some ideas as to who did it. And yeah, they'll do anything they can to try and figure out who did it. Which I'm not going to tell you who did it, because that's not what we're about on this channel. So yeah, they're doing that in the background. And then we also find out a little bit more this time, which is why the investigating, although it's in the forefront because they got shot, it also it all links together, but you also get to see a little bit more about Gabe and Juliet and their personal lives, because obviously once they come out of hospital, they're you know, they're not working for a while, so while they're recovering, so you get to see a little bit more about the lives that they live. And you get to know a little bit more about the history of the characters. And I had hoped that this is what was going to happen with this series, is that as you go along, you start to learn a little bit more about the characters. And yeah, so we do learn a little bit more about the characters, and it all links together lovely, which is exactly how Anna does it. And I just love the fact that we do all the investigating with it. So it's not a case of it's all blood, guts and gory bits. It's like you do a lot of the investigating, and you know, it's always somebody that you don't necessarily think of in the first. It's always a surprise when you get to the other end, when you do find out who's done it. So that's one thing that I find really interesting, because I don't read a lot of thrillers, to be honest. I read a lot of fantasy and romantasy and anything in between. But I don't read a lot of thrillers, generally because I don't like the blood and guts element of it. But I'm quite happy to read these ones because it's more about the investigative element. God, that was a long word. It probably isn't a word either, but I don't care. It's my part of the internet. But it does mean that we also have, that it's not all about the blood and the guts, and you don't get all the graphic death. You do get a death. Obviously you get a death, but we don't necessarily need to know the ins and the outs and all the graphic bits of it. So that's one thing that does make me very happy about these books, because I'm not a fan of the gory bits. I mean, it does come up a little bit in fantasy, but I can kind of let that one go. With regards to the square, this one's a lot more colourful than Shot in the Dark, because there is more colours on the cover. So Shot in the Dark was literally black, navy and green, because that was the colour of the writing that was on it. So this time we're taking the green from the dark of the street light, because it looks a little bit green. The black stroke navy around the edge, the white to the close to the edge wording, and we've got a pink round for where Anna's name is in purple. Purple? Pink? I get very confused as to what colour that is. I think it's more pink than purple. But yeah, so that's what we're going with this time. So yeah, it's very spoiler free, these videos, and I do love the fact, the other thing I quite like about Anna's is that you get the sets the scene in the first chapter, where you set the scene as to where you meet the person who's about to die, obviously, and you get to see that element of it, and then literally then you move on to something else and you come back to it. It's really nice that it sets the scene, and also it means that if you read the first chapter at an author event, it doesn't spoil it for anyone, because the first chapter of this did not tell you who did it in Shot in the Dark. It literally tells you about the next crime, and then the next chapter tells you who did it. So I'm not telling you that. I'm not telling you that. So this is my first square for February. As I'm recording this in March, there were 4. Excuse me. I read a total of 4 books in February. It was a very slow month, but I did DNF a few, so they won't be making an appearance. So yes, there'll be 4 videos for this one, and I'm putting them out twice a week at the moment, as I've got a few backed up. So these videos will come out on a Monday and a Thursday in theory, and then with a different book each time, because I've decided